Hang about.
Well, hello, Crashin in podcast once again. I think this is the second episode of the week. Hope you enjoyed the Silverlines episode last night. It was certainly a great podcast, and please don't forget to give it a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe. But today we've got a very, very special guest joining us today, and this is about their gig tomorrow. And this is Neil Jones, the vocalist out the band Stone Foundation, a band that are probably well known for supporting the likes of Paul Weller and the Specials. They're absolutely brilliant. I'm really glad they got back to me about doing this podcast. Like, it was one of those, I just thought to chance it. I thought, I'll just give them a text, and if they don't answer, they don't answer. And they did get back to me. And this is the second band now I have interviewed and been surprised about them answering and being up for an interview. But sometimes even getting an answer and them saying, we would love to, but we can't. That's something. But like I have loads of bands now that's been getting back to me, and I'm shocked that they actually done a podcast with me. So it was great. And it's like the Stone Foundation, I've been listening to them for years. I don't actually know when I discovered them, but like I remember I've been listening to them for years, and I think it was probably throughout discovered them throughout listening to Paul Weller. And I love their album in 2020. I got that on vinyl. I think it's like a turquoise colour. Such a lovely record. But Stone Foundation recently had an album that came out, and we get talking about what it was like recording. What's it like recording after lockdown, and memorable gigs and more. And we get talking about their development from psychedelic to funk and soul. And so, it's a great podcast. I hope you all enjoy and get to the gig tomorrow at the O2 Academy free. The tickets are only 20 quid. Worth it, man. Absolutely worth it. You're in for a treat. So, here's the Stone Foundation. This is Neil Jones. Hope you all enjoy. So, hello. I am with Neil Jones, out the band Stone Foundation. And do you want to say hello?
Hello. How you doing, Callum?
I'm good. So, do you want to talk about what you do in the band and that for people that don't know?
Yeah. So I'm the lead vocalist, guitar player in the band. We're an 8-piece band, funk, soul, jazz. I guess we cross over loads of different genres, really. But essentially, yeah, we're an 8-piece band hailing from the Midlands. I grew up in Tamworth, and my songwriting partner, Neil Sheesby, he's from Atherstone originally. So we've got sort of strong roots in the West Midlands, so to speak.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're coming up to our 25th anniversary next year in 2023. 25 years. I think we get like a carriage clock or something for our service.
Yeah. So let's talk about your gig coming up in Birmingham on the 29th. So you're looking forward to that?
Yeah, always look forward to coming back to Birmingham, mate. My grandfather, well, in fact, both my grandparents were from Birmingham. Half my family is from Acox Green, and the other half were from Ward End. So I've got a real strong affinity to the city. It's kind of the city that I used to start exploring when I was a kid, getting the train over from Tamworth. So, it's always got a special feel for me when we go back to the second city to play.
Yeah. So let's talk about the tour that you've been doing. You said earlier that you're coming towards the end of the tour. So how's the tour overall?
It's been fantastic. It's obviously little baby steps, really, getting back into live music after the 2 years we've had. So, understandably, people are still a little bit skeptical about coming out or buying tickets in advance.
Yeah.
But I think it's starting to get there now. People are finally starting to want to socialise again, go out, see live music. I mean, our gigs in particular are really cool affairs because it's like we get like people, sort of roomfuls of people that turn out to see us, like-minded people, really.
Yeah.
I think someone said to me that they hadn't really had that vibe since the Paul Weller movement started all them years ago, where you turn up at a gig and you get that sort of that communal feeling that I think you get from live music in general. And yeah, but the spring tour has been fantastic, really. We decided to go and play small, intimate venues rather than like later in the year. We're going to be doing an autumn and winter tour in slightly bigger venues up and down the UK. I think that's being released in the next few days, actually, the dates for that. But this tour was really cool because we got to go back to some of the small venues we started in. In particular, the gig we're doing on Friday in Birmingham's at the Academy 3, and we usually play at like the Institute now and stuff like that in Brum. So it's really nice to go back to a really small venue, and it's just been really special as well, like supporting those smaller venues, going back and playing for them.
Oh, cool. What is it like? When you was going into lockdown and that, what was that like for the band?
It was difficult, mate. It was really difficult. We made a decision quite early on that we were going to keep trying to do like to put on new music for people and to do sort of events and online gigs during the lockdown. And we kind of did that really by, I was down in Cornwall at the time with my parents, and what I was doing was getting in touch with a lot of people who had collaborated on our records in the past. And I thought it'd be really cool to do like these online sort of festival gigs with some of the collaborators we've worked with. And I was just amazed by the response, really, and the way people came together. So we I got in touch with like Hamish Stewart from the Average White Band, Linville Golding from the Specials. We had Paul Weller, obviously, provided a few tracks for us. Dr. Robert from the Blow Monkeys. We were just getting in touch with these people that we work with and saying, look, would you like to record some songs? Send them to us. So we put together this like day-long festival where we found some footage of a gig that we'd done in Japan at the Fuji Rock Festival, some footage of a gig we'd done in Germany. We had 2 big, long sort of Stone Foundation unseen live sets, and then put it together with this idea we had of doing like an acoustic stage or a virtual acoustic stage where we had all these amazing performances from the people that we'd worked with, over the years. And it seemed to really go down well. A lot of people still talk to me about that when we've been playing these gigs, these first gigs, since all that lockdown happened. And they were really, really sort of complimentary on how we'd kept trying to give them something during what had been a really, after the first month or so, it was quite a dark time for people, I think.
It was, because it was stopping people from going out, enjoying their life. It was like a year or 2 of our lives took out, like...
Well, humanity is like nothing if we're just all locked in our rooms. The reason why the human race has flourished is because we all come together, don't we? We all work together. We all like socialize together. That's a massive part of what makes us who we are. And, without that, there's just kind of no point, is there?
I know, true. But let's talk about your new album. Like, your last album was in 2020. So, like, you had a new album come out recently. It was February, was it?
Yeah. It was. What month are we in now, mate? I'm completely lost in time. April. No, we brought out some of it. It was only a few weeks back, I think, that the actual album came out in its entirety. Outside Looking In is the new album, and we were bowled over by the support because we got to number 27 in the official UK charts, in the album charts, which is like really for a band that put out stuff on a small independent label. Our label's based in London, 100% Records, and it was just an amazing achievement, really. The budgets that we've got and the capabilities to sort of spread the word about the music, and people really sort of gravitated towards the record, and they really seem to have come on this like journey with us, because each new record we try and change the sound up. And I think that this record in particular, we've really pushed the boundaries more than ever, really, on the sound of the band and the tunes. And people have, you know, bless them, man, they've really come out and bought the record and got into the music.
Nice. Like, what was it like recording an album after so many years of like?
Well, it was weird for us because it didn't feel like it ever it never feels like we stopped sort of recording and working on new stuff, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 4 records were recorded at Weller's Black Barn Studios. So this was like the 4th in a series of records we recorded at Paul's place. And yeah, it's a constant thing. You know, we're always working on the next thing. You know, we're always like, we've got one eye on the next sort of thing. I mean, this record in particular, the story behind this record is that prior to the lockdown happening, I'd been out in Spain to record with a label called Monks Road Social. And they put out a lot of music where people bring different songs to the party and like there's different artists. And they all release it under one banner, Monks Road Records. And we'd gone out to Spain and we were recording at Youth Studio in near Granada. And I was recording a couple of tracks, and Dr. Robert from the Blow Monkeys was overseeing the record. He was producing the record. And basically, I got talking to the label boss, Richard, and I sort of said, oh, you know, he was talking about how he'd love to put out a record, a soul record, a complete soul record, or maybe put out a soul record like as a spin-off, soul label, sorry, as a spin-off from the Monks Road thing. And I said, well, you know, me and Neil Sheesby can write, you know, do that. One thing led to another. And I kind of had put a band together with the idea that we were going to go out to Memphis to record at Al Green's studio in Memphis. So I got in touch with Boo Mitchell, who now runs Royal Studios in Memphis. I'd spoke with Richard about it. I mean, it was that far down the line, mate. We'd booked the flights, the hotels in Memphis had been booked, the studio time had been booked. I mean, it was like a bit of a dream come true for me. And I was thinking, this is going to be fantastic. You know, the following year, we're going out in the summer. Me and Neil Sheesby had started writing these songs, which we were really pleased with. The idea was I wasn't going to sing them. We were just going to get other people to sing on the tracks and write this batch of soul tunes. And then obviously the lockdown happened, so everything got canned. Me and Neil had obviously worked up loads of these demos for this album, and we were sort of like, well, what we're going to do with this? And because obviously we were allowed to go to work if it was a necessity, we thought, let's just go to Paul's studio and record this record. So this record could have been a very different sounding record if we'd have gone to America and recorded it there, but it ended up being a Stone Foundation record. I'm really pleased in a way that it was, because I think it's probably one of our strongest to date. And it's just weird, isn't it, how fate works out? And we kind of ended up with Outside Looking In, and the rest is history, really.
Great album, really good album.
Thanks, mate.
We're selling them at our record shop. Sold, I think we sold all of them, actually.
Oh, good. What record shop are you at, mate?
In Wolverhampton, Stylus Records.
Oh, right, okay, cool.
It's a good record shop, man. We have in stores and stuff like that there.
That's brilliant.
Cool, man. So let's talk about a brief beginning of the band, and how did you all meet, and what motivated you to form a band?
Initially, myself and Neil Sheesby met each other when I was supporting Neil's other band. So I was in a band called Walrus Gumboot, which I'd formed with mates in Tamworth, and Shees was in a band at the time called Mandrake Roofs. And I believe it was at the Dublin Castle in Soho, not Soho, in Camden in London. And basically he just asked if we'd like to support the band down in London. So I think it was our first ever London gig. Neil had been going in bands for years prior to that. So because I think the difference in age between us about 8 or 9 years. So he'd been around doing it a fair bit longer than me. We played the gig, and one thing led to another, and couple of months later or so, I think Neil had disbanded his band, and he was looking to try and start something new, and just approached me and said, would you be interested in writing and doing some stuff together? So, I was like, yeah, why not? Let's just try it, because I knew that it was something that I was 100%, that was what I wanted to do in my life. That was what I've always wanted to do in my life since my dad played me the first vinyl record he ever played me as a kid. I was absolutely intoxicated by music the first time I heard it. And I just wanted I wanted that to be a part of my life in some way, shape or form. And, we got together, we started writing songs. Neil actually found that what became the band's name. I mean, it's weird really, because I remember at the time us saying, oh, well, it's just a name and we can always change it down the line. We never did. But like it was in an article, magazine article, and it was talking about the Sly and the Family Stone drummer, who was actually, I believe, the only white member in that band. And it was an article on him. And it was talking about that, and also it was talking about his drumming style and everything. And the title of the piece was called, what was literally Stone Foundation. Yeah. So it just looked really cool written down.
It's a good name, I think.
Yeah. So we sort of had that name. That was there. The first couple of gigs we ever played, where it really felt like proper, was we did 2 nights. We called them 2 nights of ideas, and we did it at Tamworth Arts Centre. And it was just a really, really cool sort of 2 nights of events, really, where we sort of through the kitchen sink of ideas and stuff. We were bouncing between sort of psychedelic stuff to I remember on the encore we had a string quartet with us, and I went out on my own and played 40,000 Headmen on the acoustic guitar, the Traffic song, So we were just experimenting with loads of ideas, really. And it kind of just went from there. We just, it's hard to believe that this is the 10th studio album that we've recorded that's come out this year.
How many years have you been together?
So we've been together 24 years this year.
24 years.
And it's our 25th anniversary in 2023.
Yeah.
So we're going to really celebrate that, because I think, in this day and age, to have the sort of longevity that we've achieved is pretty exceptional, really. When you see a lot of bands, they last for a couple of years, 4 or 5 years, then they disappear. To have that longevity is pretty special, I think.
Oh, cool. That's great. That is. But let's talk about how you developed with your sound. You were saying that you was experimenting with the psychedelia sound. So how did it come from that to soul and funk types?
Well, it was quite a long journey. We started sort of in a place that we loved, so we were listening to a lot of bands like Traffic. We were really into late sort of 60s psychedelia, garage, that kind of vibe as well. I remember we used to play a lot of records by The Action and bands like that. We were really into all that stuff. Really into all that sound, really experimenting and everything. And then there was a massive explosion. I remember it happening, a massive explosion of Americana in this country, where you had Whiskey Town, obviously, which was Ryan Adams' first band, and Uncle Tupelo and all these other bands that came out at the time. And we really started getting into Americana. And then all of a sudden, our sort of, because we're music lovers at the end of the day, our records, all of a sudden, the records that we were playing a lot, all of a sudden turned into albums by the band or the Flying Burrito Brothers, or those kind of, or the Byrds. We were really getting into all that. So then we went heavily Americana. And then after going heavily Americana, we sort of just slowly but surely sort of came back through the garage psychedelia thing. I think we were our own worst enemies in the early days, because we listened to so much music. It was we'd make albums. There's an album, Small Town Soul, that we brought out, which is such it's such a wide, a broad church of music on that record. It's almost, there's almost too much information on one record on that. Do you know what I mean? And like we did it with records like In Our Time as well, where we were like kind of just trying to, almost it felt like we were trying to put every single piece of music that we love down on a record. And then as we got towards like To Find the Spirit and A Life Unlimited, we seemed to start honing our craft and also honing the skills that you need to make good cohesive records. Do you know what I mean? And I think that really came to a head when we sort of started working on the Street Rituals record that Paul Weller produced, because that was kind of the point where I really sat back and thought, hang on, this is really a really strong cohesive album, you know. And it's, I think sometimes it's important, you need to kind of sort of really get across in 10 or 12 songs what you're trying to achieve. And it's so easy to throw the kitchen sink at it, but for a listener I think it's important, and also for us, because we write music for ourselves primarily. It's great to have these real together records that you like look back on and think, yeah, that was a really strong album. Before that, I think it was a bit more scattergun, and we were like, well, I love the sound of that, I love the sound of this, yeah, let's just chuck it all on one record, you know.
Oh, cool. So let's talk about gigs. Let's talk about like what was it like playing your first gig and like now, like, how would you say you developed with that?
It's just, I guess it's very comparable to the way that we've written our albums over the years, really. You know, I mean, I've always had the go on stage, you should approach that like it's the last gig that you're ever going to do, whether there's 10 people in the audience, which we started playing to, or like, you know, the most people we've ever played to, I would say it's probably about 12,000 people when we supported the Specials, or like when we were going out supporting Paul in 2019, there was 9,000 people in the audience. So there should never be, it should always be the same mindset, I think, no matter where you play. And then obviously over the years, you just develop stagecraft. You just work out what works for you and what doesn't, and how far you can push things and how far you can't. And you also work on chemistry within the band as well, you know, because that's really important as well.
Oh, true.
You know, I think you have to develop a chemistry with the players that you've got in the band, because you've got to work as a team. It's very similar, you know, when you get ready in the dressing room and after gigs as well. It always reminds me of when I used to play football on a Sunday morning. You know what I mean? It's very similar in the sense that you've all got to pull together. It's absolutely. It's like a team. It's a team thing, really. And I think it's important to put on like a real solid, like, sort of, you've got to let people know that you care. I think when you're on stage, you've got to let people, you've got to give people something else from inside you that you wouldn't normally give on a day-to-day basis. You know?
But let's talk about what's your most memorable gig like you ever done?
I would say the Rico Arena gig that we played with the Specials was pretty phenomenal. That was probably one of the biggest gigs we did on that tour with the Specials. That was amazing. I also would put up there the Fuji Rock Festival gig that we played in Japan. That was in front of 8,000 people. That was just nuts. That was completely off the scale to us, because we went on first at that festival. And as most people will know, if you go on first a festival in the UK, there's nobody there.
Oh, really?
But in Japan, we didn't realize this. It was seen as like a real honor to be asked to go on first and open up one of the big stages. So like literally, and I'm not making this up, there's footage on YouTube, literally about, I would say 20 minutes before we went on stage, we'd set up and had a sound check, and there was nobody in this humongous marquee that held 8,000 people. And we were just thinking, I can't believe we've come all the way to Japan and we're going to play to no one. Do you know what I mean? It was like a bit of a kick in the balls, really. And we went backstage, got changed. It was all a bit flat. And then all of a sudden, the guy who was introducing us, it was an English guy called Ash, who, you know, does a lot of stuff with us out in Japan. He came backstage and he went, you're not going to believe this. He said, come and have a look. And there's a short documentary on YouTube, actually, if people want to check it out. I think put in Stone Foundation Fuji Rock, it'll come up. Yeah. And literally 10 minutes, 5 minutes before we went on, the place was absolutely heaving. They'd obviously just opened the gates and people had flooded in and the place was packed. And to have that kind of buzz was just like something that, you know, you'll never ever forget. So they're really special. And I would say the other one that's really massively special was when we supported Weller at the Royal Albert Hall. Yeah, that was a really special occasion. And we've just been really blessed, mate. You know, we've had some amazing experiences playing over the years. And, you know, you just got to try and wring every moment out of them when you're there, when you're in it, you know.
Yeah. But like you said, you like supported Paul Weller and the Specials. What are they like as people, and what were they like to support?
Really great. Paul's, well, as you know, I think most people know, Paul's been fantastic to us over the last sort of 5 or 6 years that we've been friends with him, and he's been absolutely brilliantly supportive. I can't speak highly enough of him, really. He's just been a top guy. And likewise with the Specials, really, you know, they've always been supportive of us. Horace Panther, the bass player, designed 2 of our cover sleeves when we did To Find the Spirit and A Life Unlimited, which are actually behind me now that you can see there and there. Look,
I like them. They're well cool, man.
Yeah, they're Horace's. That's Horace's handiwork. So that's really cool. And they're just massively supportive people, really. I think they, you know, over the course of our time in the band and the people that we've worked with, you know, we've worked with many of our heroes. You know, I would never have dreamt that I would have flown to like Atlanta and worked with like William Bell and people like that. I had Betty Lavette sing on our records and Melbourne Moore on the latest record. You know, to work with these people is such a massive honour, and it's the biggest kind of pat on the back you can have from your peers, really. And also, like, it just rubber stamps that what you're doing is of worth in a way, you know, and they actually sort of go, I'm going to sing on your record because I think the music that you're making is great. That's the biggest like compliment you could possibly get in music.
But we're on the last couple of questions now. So is there anything else when we haven't gone through that you like to add?
Not really, mate, other than if obviously I'm hoping to see lots of people at the Birmingham gig on Friday. So pull your finger out, Callum, and get along. Come on.
I'll try and get there.
Good. It'll be a great night, that will. And then also we've got a massive autumn and winter tour that we're announcing this week, which is going to take in loads and loads of venues in the UK. We're really looking forward to doing that. I think it culminates at this a big gig at Coco in Camden at the end of the year, which used to be the old Camden Palace, which will be, we always have a massive sort of London gig, but we've also got some great sort of local gigs that we'll be doing.
Right.
And I hope people can check out the new records. We're really, really excited about this, and it's great that we actually get to put a record out, because we didn't do it with Is Love Enough. We actually put a record out, and we're going to follow it up with a tour. We're going to actually tour the record, which we couldn't do with the last one.
But so have you got any recommended bands for people that are into your type of music?
I love like bands like, I mean, obviously I'm a massive fan of like Durand Jones and the Indications. As you know, Durand sang on our last record, so his band are really great. I love there's a guy who's done a few recordings with us now over the last few years, a guy called Lavelle. You can check out his Lavelle. He's I think one of the best soul voices the UK has at the moment. I think he is phenomenally good. We're always listening to new music. I really like the band Salt, SAULT. They're a really fantastic band. They're always bringing out records on vinyl. They do hardly any press. They just like put these records. I think Inflow is the producer, and I believe like Michael Kiwanuka's worked with them, and a few other people as well to name. But like they're really great. Yeah, I mean, like there's lots of really exciting new stuff. I really like Tom Minch. I really like Tom Minch. I think he's really great. There's a guy called Joe Culpepper who sounds a bit like Prince, man. He's like really phenomenal voice.
Yeah.
There's someone I follow on Instagram called Mono Neon, I think his name is, and he's like I remember saying to She's a few weeks back, this dude's like the geezer's out of Funkadelic or something, or Parliament, and then the next time he posts on Instagram, he's coming on stage with George Clinton, and it's like, right, they've clocked this dude. You know? So there's loads of really exciting stuff out there at the moment. I think that you know, people can check out. That's the thing I love about music at the moment. I think there's some really fresh stuff. Tyler the Creator, that's another one. I really like him as well. I like that. I like the new sort of hip hop stuff that's out there at the moment. Good.
I like the more funky, jazzy type hip hop. Like for me, that's like my type of vibe when it comes to hip hop. But last of all, have you? This is a question I always ask. Have you got an inspiring quote or something inspiring to say to the people that are listening?
I would just say be good to each other, and you know, that is the biggest thing of all, really. I think people should just be good to each other, love one another, man. Life is way too short, and you know, that's the thing I love about our gigs is that people come together, make relationships, you know, because they're into, you know, we're always trying to put across a positive message in our lyrics, really, and life's way too short to get angry for too long, and I think people should just be good to one another.
Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you getting back in contact with me and sorting this out. Really appreciate it. And
nice one.
I'm going to try and get this put out for tomorrow before the gig.
Good man.
Yeah, man. So if I don't see you, I hope you have a good gig. I'll try and get down there.
Get down, Callum. Otherwise, we're going to come looking for you.
Well, Friday got plans on Friday, but like, I'm going to try and get down to that gig if I can.
Cancel them. That's what you got to do, mate.
But cheers.
All right, mate.
Thank you very much. And
that's all right, man.
All
right, mate. You take it easy, man.
You too, mate. Take it easy.
See you Friday. See you later, mate.
You're not alone, you only have to come. And what you end up giving me is something way much more. It could be the light in me and turn on back and turn on you. It could be the light in me and turn on back and see us through. It could be the light in me and turn on back and turn on you. It could be the light in me and turn on back and see us through. Stop making the space out on your own. if you're wrong. Let no wonder that you keep it down in every single beat. On this way along the floor, making it right through your feet. Give me the light in me and turn on that and turn on you. Give me the light in me and turn on that and see it's through. Give me the light in me and turn on that and turn on you. Give me the light in me and turn on that and see it's through. Open the door and let me see the light. Yeah, come on. Open the door and let me see the light. We can clap our hands. Open the door and let me see the light. Come on. Open the door and let me see the light. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Give it on up for love. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Give it on up for love. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Give it on up for love. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Give it on up for love. Give me the light in me and turn on and turn on you. Give me the light in me and turn on and see us through. Give me the light in me and turn on and turn on you. Give me the light in me and turn on and see us through.
That was footage off the Stone Foundation's YouTube channel, and that's on their online album launch gig. So check that out. It's really good. It's really good. It's 2 hours long and it's well worth the watch. I loved it. And yeah, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Then you can get them on Spotify. Buy their records. Their records are amazing. Like, they never fail to impress. Absolutely brilliant. And it's my type of music. I like them. Like, it's like in a DJ set, you can mix them with loads of like old time funk and soul musicians. That's what I like about them. So if I was to do a DJ set, I'll stick the foundation on, Stone Foundation on. Absolutely brilliant. But once again, thank you, Neil Jones, for joining me for a podcast. Really appreciate it. And also, guys, please leave a like and subscribe if you like it. And if you're new to the channel, stay tuned. There's some more stuff like this. I've got a bit of a soul-y funk band coming on soon, hopefully. They're a band called Corduroy, and they're signed on the Acid Jazz label. And they might be coming on, so like if you're into the Stone Foundation, I guess you might be into Corduroy, I don't know. So stay tuned for that. And also stay tuned for this Saturday's episode with Low Red Moon, a gothic psych band. Stay tuned and take care.